not me undressing the girl. It's the character that I'm playing.
And I saw you playing that Catwoman, and you're my actress. Oh my God! Fuck! You're a shit actress. You know that?
I was watching, that Hotel Hell show of Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, I heard they renewed that recently, didn't they?
Oh no, it was Kitchen Nightmares they renewed.
Oh, okay, that's a different one.
Yeah, Hotel Hell is basically take out anything constructive and just make it full on Gordon Ramsay yelling at people and showing gross bugs and stuff. But I was watching one where he always does the UV lights on the bed to show like the piss and cum and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And he had like the owner and like his poor like assistant manager who's like this older lady that was very nice, and he's like fucking look at it, it's like the fucking Milky Way on the bed.
Oh my God. That's hysterical.
And I like that a lot. I just thought that was really funny.
I like those shows. Gordon Ramsay like pretty much makes them, but
Gordon Ramsay knows how to entertain.
He does, yeah.
I will say that. I watched like almost all of the British Kitchen Nightmares, which are a lot better than the American ones.
I was gonna mention that. Yeah, I've seen some of those, and they're a lot more watchable.
They're a lot better. My favorite part of Gordon Ramsay, at least in Hotel Hell, is for some reason he always gets naked.
What?
Yeah, and they always show his ass in every episode.
What? How does that happen?
I don't know. It's on YouTube. If you go on YouTube right now and look up any Hotel Hell episode, there's always a part where he like showers or maybe he swims or something, and he always shows his bare ass.
Wow, that's awesome.
Without fail.
Show of a lifetime.
Yeah. So that's cool. Good for him.
Is that in his contract? Where they're
I was wondering. Okay, so Gordon's a pretty outgoing guy, but I don't think he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna show my ass in every episode." I assume it's because they know that women like him, like he's kind of attractive. So maybe they're like, okay, who's watching daytime reality television? Oh, moms.
The mommies out there.
What's the most like sexually repressed demographic? Okay, stay-at-home moms. Let's just give him Gordon's ass as he's taking a shower.
I'm sure he doesn't complain.
No, I don't know. It's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I know there's just so many editors that probably saw Gordon Ramsay's cock that had to like edit around it,
Yeah, they did. Imagine being on set for that. Where Gordon Ramsay's just walking around naked.
Yeah. Is this the cock scene? He's like, fucking hell, and he just takes off his pants.
He does that like every day. He comes out on set naked.
Yeah, they're like, Gordon, no, you're clothed in the scene. He's like, oh, okay.
We're at the restaurant, Gordon.
Yeah.
There's tons of people naked around.
He's just naked, sitting in a restaurant. And he thinks everyone's staring at him because he's like Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
But it's actually because he's just naked.
That's Gordon's natural state, is just him being naked all the time.
He just thinks that's all Americans do. Because we're so primitive, we're just naked.
Right.
All the time. All right. This had nothing to do with the intro.
Well, it's the intro now.
It's the intro now. But we watched Be My Cat, a film for Anne. This was a film that has been on my radar for a while, and I was strolling through the gold mine that is Tubi, and I was like, oh, this movie's on here. I've been wanting to see it, mostly because the cover art for it always kind of caught my attention. The cover art looks like Laura Dern's character in Inland Empire.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, she has the big eyes and shit.
Yeah, and she's like really up close to the camera.
Yeah.
So it always caught my attention, and then I remember hearing about it, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. I was like, is Anne Hathaway involved at all in this? Quickly watching the movie, I realized no, she's not. Nor should she be.
Yeah, that's for
but I always hear it's like, oh, it's like one of the most underrated found footage movies. It's really disturbing. So I was like, okay, it sounds like something up my alley. So I decided, hey, you know what, let's share this miserable experience together. Because just from looking at it, I knew this is a movie where you're gonna want to like take a shower after watching it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You feel a little dirty. But for those of you out there who don't know, which most people probably don't, Be My Cat, a film for Anne, follows the director, who's also acting, writing, and does everything, Adrian Tofei. And basically the premise is that he wants to direct a movie because he loves movies, and he wants Anne Hathaway to star in it. So he's making this movie called Be My Cat, which is supposed to convince Anne Hathaway to fly to Romania to shoot his movie in his hometown. And it's funny because he's never really described as to what the movie is.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's just him talking about how it's going to be the best movie ever and all this stuff. But he needs Anne Hathaway
to play her. He saw her squatting down on the bat cycle in Dark Knight Rises, and he was like, I need that in my life.
It's funny because you joke about that, but that's literally true in the plot.
Yeah.
Because he does say Dark Knight Rises. He's like, I saw her in Dark Knight Rises, and I knew she wanted to be in my movie.
Yeah.
So before we get into sort of our thoughts, I want to go, I went on a deep dive, because the premise alone for this movie is interesting. And after I watched it, I was like very confused on how this got made and why. Because it's very specific. Similar. So I'm going to take you down the rabbit hole I went down. And it all started, Adrian Tofei, he was an actor that did theater, okay? I guess he was known for doing like monologues. He was very good at it. He was very good at ad-libbing and improving. So that turned into a one-man show called The Monster.
The Monster?
The Monster.
Oh my God.
Basically was about a one-man show about a guy who is very obsessive over a woman. And I would just say has very serial killer-esque tendencies.
Oh my God.
For example, his character had a problem with cats in his one-man show.
Really?
But yeah, he liked hurting animals. I'll just say that, I guess.
Okay.
So that was praised. People liked it. He liked doing it. So he said, okay, how can I transition this into a movie? And he basically just took that character and just said, I'm gonna method act and just put this like grounded in the real world, and just go. So that's how Be My Cat, why it happened.
Do you know why the cat thing shows up in multiple of his works?
No. Do you have the information, or are you asking me?
No, I was just curious.
My guess would be cats are very feminine compared to dogs, because there's even a line in this movie where he says that he doesn't like dogs. So dogs are mean and nasty and ugly.
Yeah.
He prefers cats. I would assume because cats are more feminine. Another reason being, I think that most serial killers, they start with cats. When they kill. Sense. And kind of shows like psychopathic personality. Stuff like that. And I think it's also kind of like the idea, because obviously his character does not care too much for women as human beings. You know, they're very objectified, to put it nicely.
Yeah, he cares about him to a certain point.
And I think a cat is very similar. Like, you own a cat, you know? So the cat is like the extension of like a woman.
That would make sense. It's
so
just
that
an
would be my
interesting
guess.
thing. I've always liked to look at a creator's work and then just notice similar things pop up.
it's actually funny. The cat thing was just coincidental. Because he was deciding, okay, what's a woman that I can pick? He was trying to find someone that was like universally known, like actress wise. And he had just seen Les Miserables with Anne Hathaway, and he said that he's like, that was great. You know, that was a great movie. She did awesome in it. She was like, great. Then he saw literally in the same year, Dark Knight Rises came out, and she's playing Catwoman.
Oh.
And he thought that was the perfect connection to tie them together. So that's when he decided Anne Hathaway.
With the cat thing, the cat motif.
Yeah, because she's Catwoman, which is why the movie is called Be My Cat. Because she's Catwoman.
That makes sense. That does make sense.
Yeah. Now, and I'm talking because he plays himself. He plays Adrian Tofei in the film. And when I'm saying him, I'm not speaking for him as a person. I'm speaking his character in the movie.
Yeah.
So it is going to get confusing. I don't want to make Adrian Tofei seem like an asshole or an incel or anything.
A cat murdering woman hater.
Yeah. But it'll get confusing. It's like this is the closest reality can get to getting meta. And I'll explain in a bit why. But basically this was Adrian Tofei's first time using a camera. Literally. He even got the camera crowdfunded to buy.
Really?
He basically pitched the movie. Yeah, people bought the camera. He said when he turned that thing on, that was the first time he's held a video camera in his life.
Wow.
So we're talking no experience whatsoever.
Damn.
He directed, wrote, produced, acted, set up everything. Pretty much he did everything except act for the other actresses. That was it. He did literally everything.
No, that's crazy. Did they even have a crew or anything that was like
nope.
helping him film?
It was all him.
Damn.
Which adds to, basically, he wanted to make this as real as possible. And there are, there's tons of found footage movies where they always say this is the most real found footage movie you'll ever see, blah, 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 blah. I would say Be My Cat, A Film for Anne, is probably the most realistic found footage movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
As far as believability, because you just get so wrapped up in his character, he just feels so real. And a part of that was because he method acted for, I want to say it was like 6 months to a year before this.
Oh, really?
To prep. He method acted for that long. He moved back in with his mom. And he lived in his small Romanian hometown. And basically learned to become an incel.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Just for this.
That's hilarious.
But one thing that I thought was very interesting, and this may explain a lot in the movie, is that he shot over 25 hours of footage, which they explain in the very beginning.
Okay, I thought that was like a narrative thing, or I didn't know if that was actually real.
So it's supposed to be like a found footage, like, this is what the police recovered, and we've edited it into a story basically for you, like a documentary.
Okay.
But he only used the first take of every scene.
Really?
So he edited it as if you were editing down 25 hours worth of footage for a documentary, because he was, but he only used the first takes.
I see. Why? Did he just think they were the best?
He knew going into it, that's what he was doing. He wanted it to be as natural and awkward as possible.
Okay.
So the next part, and this will kind of explain a bit more why, is I'm going to get into the actresses, the 3 actresses. Okay.
Yeah.
He found them online. They were an email contact for several months. I want to say like 6 months before filming this. And they had an agreement that when they meet, they are going to stay in character. So those scenes, those uncomfortable scenes, where he's like meeting them when they're like getting dropped off from the cab were real.
Oh my God.
That was his first time speaking to them in person. They basically agreed in the emails, when we land and you turn, like, we go. Like, once we get there, we're filming nonstop.
Wow. That's interesting. You could tell from those seemed really authentic.
Yeah, there's a lot of very uncomfortable, like, the weather's pretty good, right? You know, like, nice to meet you, like that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah.
And it does add to, I think, the authenticity of it.
And it makes him look really deranged, too.
Yeah.
It's like...
He is.
When they first meet and they're all, like, normal, it's like, kind of, they're, like, giggling and, like, saying hi to each other. And then later he just gets really misogynistic and cruel for no reason.
Yeah.
It's like... That also adds to his character, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they were worried about like safety, obviously, right? Like, because the violence does happen in the movie. So they had a rule where if they were talking in English, that was them acting. If they switched to Romanian, they were no longer acting.
Okay.
And the whole purpose of this is because, one, he wanted the most natural responses possible, and two, he wanted to see a genuine response in this world they created. Basically, he made a world that they're all living inside of our world. And he was curious of how that would play out. So in a way, this movie is kind of just an experiment of method acting, I guess.
That's interesting.
But one thing, like, when I learned this, I was like, oh shit, because there's that scene where the girl calls the police. And, you know, he's like, oh my God, I can't believe she called the police. Like, this is crazy. This is so crazy. She actually did call the police.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah. But she stayed in character and did it. He said God. When the police came, they obviously stopped acting and just explained the situation. Like, we're doing a movie. They were just like, we didn't mean to call you. I'm sorry. And they just got a warning, and the police, you know, went on with their business. But she actually did call the police. So him nervously going, like, I can't believe she called the police, was him actually being like, oh man, is this real? But he knew she was still acting because when the police were there, she was still talking in English.
Okay.
So he knew it was for the movie, and he actually said that, like, he's like, that was like, she had some balls to do that.
Yeah, no kidding. Damn, I would be afraid of her actually doing it. Just
yeah, right?
That would be terrifying.
Yeah. Especially because, like, it's such a creepy subject matter. And the way he was talking to her, you know?
Oh my God.
Before that. Because he's, like, telling her to, like, he's basically giving her the worst directions ever.
Yeah.
And then getting mad at her when she doesn't follow them.
Yeah, like that whole walking thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you can't let me get that close or something like that. And she
I can't get within a meter of you, but you can't physically touch me.
Yeah. It's like,
and she's like, I don't understand. And, like, I guess his logic was like, oh, a good actor would find a way. But it's like, even I don't think the best actor would work under those circumstances.
No,
you know?
Yeah, not at all.
It's pretty ridiculous.
It's interesting that there's this whole method acting backstory to this movie.
Yes.
Because I thought the film as a whole was a commentary on method acting.
And it could be.
It could be, yeah. I was just thinking it's just commentary on how shit and pointless it is. But now that he actually did it, now I'm thinking that wasn't intended at all.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
Okay.
But I think it was just more of an experiment of, can we do this?
Okay.
And I don't know, like, it seemed cool. Like I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions with, like, method acting, you know? Like, Jared Leto was like, oh, I'm Joker, I'm crazy, I put condoms in people's rooms.
Oh, you know? My God.
Because they said, like, Heath Ledger method acted, and all he really did was, like, lock himself in a hotel room with, like, comics.
And that was it. Even on set, people, like, that's like a whole myth. Like, he wasn't, like, in character the whole time. Like, there's so many stories of him acting opposite the other people, where literally right after they're done filming the scene, he's like back to being normal.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
It's like a weird mythology. People like to like idolize method acting for some reason, when like really it's just not necessary.
Yeah, and
Like,
I
at all.
understand like people that will like do it in between takes to stay in character. Like I know Daniel Day-Lewis was like big on that.
Oh, yeah.
Just because they don't want to break character, but like, can you imagine how like exhausting it would be to like go on lunch with like Jared Leto's Joker?
Oh my god,
You know?
yeah. I'd
It's
be
like,
like,
don't do
dude,
that.
calm down.
Go into like Dunkin' Donuts with him.
For real.
God, I don't like Jared Leto that much.
No, and he's also just a creep. He's like a
yeah. There hasn't been good stuff coming out against him, right?
no. He's like a hack. He's not really a good actor. He's like a terrible
No.
musician. Have you ever heard his band 30 Seconds to Mars?
I know The Kill.
Yeah.
Because I was a middle schooler.
I know. I listened to it too, and I no judgment here. But it's just terrible. All around he's a hack.
Yeah, I think he's just gotten lucky.
Yeah.
But like all this good stuff he's in, he's never the main guy. You know, like American Psycho, stuff
True.
like that.
Yeah.
he's always just a side guy.
Blade Runner as well.
Yeah,
2049.
and honestly, I would say Blade Runner 2049 is a perfect movie if you took out Jared Leto.
I agree, because he's just distracting in that. I don't know what it is about
Because
him.
he tries. You can sense the desperation on it. You can see him trying
Yeah.
so hard.
Yeah.
You know.
That was
And that's
most
what I
apparent
think
when he was Joker, was just how
Yeah.
hard he was trying.
And that's what I think separates like a good actor from a bad actor is like you can't tell if they're trying.
Mm-hmm.
Like Joaquin Phoenix is I think like an amazing actor because he's just always I don't know what it is about him. Very aloof.
Yeah, I was
I
going
don't
to
know.
say that exact word. Very aloof.
Have you ever seen Inherent Vice?
No,
Where he's like
I've
a
heard about
hippie
it.
PI. That movie's awesome. I think it's like one of his best performances next to The Master.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's an example of a good method actor. Which I don't even know if Joaquin Phoenix really method acts. I think he just shows up and gets a paycheck.
Yeah, I don't
He's just
think he
good at his
does
job.
method act. I don't think
No.
he needs to do that.
What, you mean he didn't method act for Joker?
What the hell?
He didn't
You
do that
kidding?
dance every day? One of my favorite like behind the scene bits on like Joker was after the scene where he shoots those like Wall Street guys. I guess in the script was that he immediately hid the gun, like he wiped his like fingerprints off and like threw it somewhere. But they basically like Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips were like, wait, this character's a fucking idiot. Why would he think to do that?
Yeah.
That's why they came up with the scene where he dances in the bathroom.
Oh my god, because they needed something else to happen there.
Well, they were just like, what would make more sense for his character? And they're like, what if this is like kind of like an awakening for him? So they just locked themselves in a bathroom. Like none of this like crew was even there, and they just like filmed that scene.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So it was people compare it to like, I'm not comparing Joker to Taxi Driver, but it's very similar. Like the "You Talking to Me" scene from Taxi Driver was ad-libbed just like that.
Wow.
Like Scorsese and De Niro locked themselves in the apartment.
I think it's completely fair to compare that movie to Taxi Driver. It takes so much from it.
Yeah.
Like it's impossible not to think about Taxi Driver when watching
Yeah.
that movie.
Well, back to someone who's definitely not Robert De Niro is Adrian Tofei. Although I will say the dude's an amazing actor, Adrian Tofei.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty
He is
good.
very believable. But I think that all of this behind the scenes stuff really helped sell it, just because it feels so genuine.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like it does feel like some video you'd watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
About, like some creepy killer guy.
Yeah. I got a lot of, I don't know if you remember, there's that Netflix documentary a couple years ago called Don't Fuck with Cats.
Yeah. Yeah.
His character reminded me of the killer guy in that a lot.
Oh my god. Thought when you recommended this, I thought you were recommending that documentary. I'll be 100% honest.
Oh, yeah.
And
They're very similar.
They have similar titles. That's why I got confused.
Yeah. Luckily, we don't see any cats getting killed in this.
Yeah, no, thank God.
At least he may kill women, but at least he doesn't kill cats.
No, he's not killing any pussy.
Yeah, Adrian Tofei gets no pussy here.
Oh my God.
And I will actually get into pussy a bit later.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. But so the method acting. So you think, okay, if all this is method acted, what did the script look like? It says he's a writer, but literally the script was just plot points. Like, this will happen, this scene's next, and they just went from there. That's another reason why it's so uncomfortable, because everyone is constantly ad-libbing.
Okay, gotcha. It comes across that way, honestly.
Because there's a lot. I will say, okay, I'm gonna be honest right now. I loved this movie. All right, love it. My one complaint is there's a lot of scenes of just him talking and rambling.
Yes, yeah.
And I know that plot-wise makes sense for his character to do that. But watching it is not. And I would forgive it if it wasn't a lot of the same stuff. Because a lot of it is just, and I'm making this great movie. It's going to be so good. I'm so smart. It's going to be amazing. It's going to change cinema. But every rant is just that. Yeah.
And it's not like he's really good at what he's doing in the movie, but the way he says the lines as well is like there's not very much variety. Yeah. He's always kind of saying it the same way.
And the thing that kind of tears me on whether or not this is like a good or bad is that fits the character though.
Yeah.
Because the character thinks he's very smart. He's very narcissistic. He thinks he understands art. He understands cinema. He understands like human psychology. Yet you can tell when he's talking that he doesn't know anything. He's just saying that he knows this.
Right. Yeah. He has a very surface level understanding of anything he's talking about.
So it fits sort of the character for him to be just rambling on nonsense. It's just there's a lot of it. And it's kind of exhausting.
It is, yeah.
His character are what people think Lars von Trier is. They think like Lars von Trier is like that in real life,
Yeah.
But
that's very accurate. The themes of this kind of reminded me of like House of Jack.
Yeah.
Sort of about a guy who's like doing this for art, doing all these horrible things.
Doing this horrible thing for the sake of art. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. He just needed a little old man to tell him that he's a sick freak. Yeah, I still think House That Jack Built is one of like the funniest movies to come out in like the last 20 years.
I have to rewatch it again.
That shit is so funny. Did you see the extended cut?
I don't think so.
I have it. We should watch it sometime. Maybe we could even do an episode on it.
Yeah, fuck it.
Because that extended cut goes hard, and it's very funny. But I will. Lars von Trier is also another like exhausting director, and like Adrian Tofei feels like he's like a wannabe Lars von Trier.
Yeah, I would agree. He's not quite there with the execution of it.
No, or any of it.
No.
But I think Adrian Tofei, the actual guy, I think he's very talented, and this is actually his first entry in a trilogy.
What?
Yeah, he's doing a trilogy. They're not the same character. Like the next one takes place in like the future, like it's like during an apocalypse.
What the hell?
Yeah, but he said thematically they're all going to be similar. That's what's going to connect them all.
Is it about obsession, I would guess, or something?
That's my guess. Yeah.
Okay.
He hasn't given much details. Like you can look them up. There's like the plot synopsises on them, but I don't know. Like this movie came out like 2015, and his second film hasn't even come out yet. And if it's like a similar budget, I don't know. Maybe he got more of a budget because this movie actually took off. Like it did a lot better than anyone expected.
Really?
It won a shitload of awards. At like the horror festivals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I would I'm trying to word this like this is kind of like a Blair Witch 2 situation where Blair Witch happened. They're like, holy shit, these kids made this on like this budget. Like that's crazy.
Oh, let's immediately make another one.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying like Paranormal Activity was like that, like another showcase of what you can do with such a little budget. And I would say that Be My Cat is the biggest example of what you can do with such a small budget because the budget was non-existent.
Yeah, no.
The only budget he said was the camera, which was crowdfunded. So he didn't technically, that wasn't out of pocket. Paying the actresses for like a day of work and then renting that hotel room. That was it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was and buying the tarp, the fake blood and all that. That was it.
Damn.
That was the budget.
So he probably paid like $500 max.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what like the actresses went for. They weren't like known at the time or anything. So, I mean, I would definitely say it's less than $10,000.
I mean, yeah.
'Cause I'm pretty sure that's what Paranormal Activity was made on.
Wow, that's awesome.
But it's cool. Like when I watch movies like this, it makes me think like it like I don't know, inspires me a little bit. Mm-hmm. Being like, wow, if you just have basically a good enough idea, like you can make a movie,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
If you really put the care and love into it, like you can come out with something good.
Yeah, I've always thought that as long as you have a good script, none of the other stuff matters. People can look past that if they're into the characters and stuff. Like no one will give a shit,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what like Tarantino always says. He's like, as long as you love movies, you can make a good one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I found that like a lot of the directors that I think we like are just fanboys of other directors,
It's true, yeah.
And it's very funny because like that's definitely the case with Adrian Tofei as a person, but his character is very not that. Like he just likes cinema because he can say he likes cinema,
Mm-hmm.
He's really in it for like the fame and all that comes with it.
Right, yeah. He doesn't actually care about making art. Yeah, he just wants the fame of it and Anne Hathaway. Of course.
Well, so this is where we're getting to. This is the golden question. Is 1, does Anne Hathaway know about the movie? And 2, has Anne Hathaway seen it? What is your guess?
I'm going to say that she has not seen it and she does not know about it.
You are correct. Well, he's unsure. He knows she hasn't seen it.
Okay.
He confirmed on an AMA because that was like the number one question, right?
Yeah.
He said that the management team were aware of it. They never really responded to him directly, but he knew they were aware of it somehow. Mm-hmm. So he has no idea if Anne Hathaway ever saw it, ever even heard about it, or what the deal is.
Oh my god.
Although it'd be very interesting. Like I'm sure some fan had to have like asked her, like, have you heard of this,
Oh yeah, 100%. Even like if she hears about it from her team, it'd be like, if I was her, I'd be interested in watching it.
If management was like, I assume their management was probably like, this is a little creepy, so we're not going to tell her,
That could be, yeah.
Because this movie is made to feel like something that would be uploaded to YouTube by an unhinged person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if there weren't the credits before and after, you'd be like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah, no, literally. It has that kind of quality to it. It feels like someone's video diary or something.
Yeah. And that's literally what it feels like.
Yeah.
And it's again, because it's just so natural. Like even like when they're on the street, you hear the cars going by. There's like pedestrians getting in their way.
Yeah.
And there's scenes like when he's like yelling at the girls that other people are like what the fuck are you doing? Like, as they're walking by,
Yeah.
you know?
You can tell all that stuff is not not scripted.
No, not at all.
It's just pretty cool. It's a cool idea.
Yeah, so Anne Hathaway, I mean, I think it would be cool if she acknowledged it. And believe me, I tried looking, no acknowledgement of it whatsoever. So, I don't know. And he said he doesn't really care. You know, that wasn't the point. He just picked her, right? Because he needed someone like universally known and loved.
Yeah, because she has that kind of status that a normal, like most people will get obsessed over anyway.
Yeah.
So of course a creepy guy is gonna be like fucking all over her.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that interview with her she did for Dark Knight where she like that guy asked her about her weight?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about, dude? It is so funny. If you just look up like Anne Hathaway interview, I guarantee it's the first thing that comes up. But she's like, the guy was like asking her like about Catwoman, like what she did to like prepare for the role and all that. And he's like, how much weight did you have to lose to fit in that suit? And she just like decides to fuck with the guy so hard. Like she makes this man like sweat bullets.
Oh no.
Because she's like, what a forward young man you are asking me that question. And he's just like, no, I didn't mean to offend. And she's just like fucking with him. It's a very good video. But that's pretty much everything as far as behind the scenes for Be My Cat as to why and how it was made. So I'm going to share my thoughts first, and then I'm going to swing it over to you.
Okay.
But I would say I genuinely really fucking digged this movie. Like, really my only complaint was about that. It was just there was parts that were a little bit boring.
Yeah.
But then you can justify it, you know, because it does service the plot and his services kind of building up the character. He is very shallow, very one-dimensional. But you know me, I love being uncomfortable. I love watching cringe videos. I like watching disturbing things. And this movie is basically an hour and a half cringe compilation.
It's very accurate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just so impressed by what he's able to accomplish on such a low budget and continue to make it interesting. And like the whole time you're literally watching a train crash that will not stop crashing.
Yeah.
Like just when you think he said the worst thing ever, he will then say something far worse.
Or do something far worse.
Or do something. And the way there's so many parts, like obviously no spoilers here, but obviously the bad things happen to the women. But there's one where she's like tied up and he's just like talking into the camera and he's like, I got this fake blood, but she thinks like I'm gonna use that. And this knife is real. And then she's like, what? And he's like, no, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Anne.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh my God, dude. But there's so many moments like that. I was uncomfortable 100% of the time. And I think a good horror movie is able to do that. So I seriously like loved this movie more than I thought I would.
Okay.
So and then I think I maybe researching it, I liked it a bit more.
Yeah,
than coming out of it.
I'm glad you brought up the research and stuff before we gave our opinions, because hearing that, it seems like a lot of work went into it, more than I expected.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. So balls in your court. What did you think of Be My Cat?
I mostly agree with you. I did like it. I liked it. I like it more now that you explained all that stuff to me. The method acting and everything. I think that makes a lot of sense, and it informs a lot of the interactions that you see in the movie. Yeah. Just knowing that they put that much work into it and they made it as natural as possible really helped with it. And yeah, I mean, when I first started watching it, I knew absolutely nothing about it. I just turned it on.
That's why I picked it. Because I'm like, this would be a perfect movie to go blind into.
Yeah, I think all I had seen was that poster beforehand. And I legitimately thought it was like a documentary. And so I started watching it, and the guy is like with his mom in the house. Yeah. And he's like talking about like his movie he's going to make. and it felt really real to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think some of that gets a little shattered with some of the way the women were acting was like not quite there, but the whole thing is anchored by his performance, and I think he keeps it together most of the time. But yeah, overall I liked it. Yeah, like you said, there's some boring parts in it where it just feels like nothing is really happening.
Yeah, it's just him in a room talking about how smart he is.
Yeah, exactly. And that stuff can kind of get like, and the way he talks is like, okay, come on. Like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it. I liked his character a lot. I thought he was interesting to watch for most of it. And then one part I don't know if are we gonna talk about spoilers really?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Spoilers.
I think my favorite part of the movie was the very end when that girl is trying to barter for her life, basically.
Yeah, and she realized she's dealing with an insane person.
Yeah. That was cool. I like that whole scene. That whole scene was really cool, and it kind of let you into his mind a little more about what buttons need to be pressed to get him to do certain things. There's
one thing that I wanted to talk about, which is why I think his character is so interesting and creepy, is that he's almost like a child.
Yeah, he is.
The Adrian Tofei said in a Reddit thing, he wanted to keep all the crimes as non-sexual as possible. So that way he feels like like innocent. Like he's not doing this because he's a pervert. If he's a pervert, you understand it a bit more, but he's not. He's just very obsessed and just has a very warped view on women. Yeah. So I don't know, I think that adds to a bit, and the way he's able to just kind of like constantly switch between emotions.
Yeah.
Like he'll be all happy and then the actress says something he doesn't like and he'll just start like throwing a tantrum.
Uh-huh.
It's he's like a kid that doesn't get what he wants, And
it feels so real.
Yeah.
The way it's shot so amateurishly, and the audio is like just using the camera audio.
Yeah.
And like that really adds to it. Yeah, like we said, it feels like a creepy YouTube video diary you'd watch at like 1 a.m. or something.
Yeah, and some guy like Chills or Nexpo would make a video about wannabe filmmaker kills 2 women.
Yeah,
in
literally.
Romania. Yeah.
I watched my fair share of those kind of videos back in the day.
Oh, I do. I still do. I'm not even ashamed of it. I think they're fun.
Some of them I watch. The most recent trend I've been watching, which are fun, is like the icebergs.
Oh yeah,
where like the creepy iceberg where it goes down and like I don't know. There's like creepy unsolved mystery icebergs and like goes down.
Yeah,
and like gets more and more.
I saw
obscure.
There's one on Chris Hansen.
Is it really?
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I just saw it's like the To Catch a Predator iceberg.
Oh, that's got to be good. That must be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, this does feel like it would be on one of those iceberg videos or just on some this movie feels like a video that you would need to download from a site that would most likely give you viruses.
Yeah, no, literally. Yeah, but it's good. It's I hope this guy gets more attention.
Yeah,
I want to see what he would do with a bigger budget.
So one thing that's really cool, he did the AMA a couple years ago, but he will go on there occasionally and comment on people's questions. Yeah.
Oh wow.
There was one just from a month ago. He responded. He genuinely loves fans. He just talks to them. He loves all like any kind of support, all that. He's just a really cool guy.
Damn, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for him. He's just a guy who loves making things,
Yeah.
So,
do you think he'll comment on our video of this?
Maybe. Well, I'll send it to him. I'll get in contact with him. Like, hey, can you shout us out? I promise we don't make fun of you that much. Please
don't be mad at us.
Yeah. Watch. His next video is a film for Guts and Ghouls. He's like, these guys, they think they know me. They make a podcast about me. I can make podcasts. I make a good podcast. I'll make the best podcast. I could say anything and my fans will believe me. That is how good I am at podcast.
That's a good impression. That's like
Thank
spot
you.
on.
Who would he get? Oh, Joe Rogan. It would a podcast for Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, this is why I need you, Joe Rogan, on my podcast.
Yeah, he has dreams of getting him on his podcast or him appearing on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Either or, he's fine with.
Yeah, he just wants to be.
He is a character though that would be on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, easily, and Joe Rogan would be taking him seriously for some reason.
Yeah, he would be going on like a 5-minute rant about how he's going to like marry Anne Hathaway and have kids with her, and Joe Rogan be like, "Oh yeah, really? Oh, whoa, that's cool." Huh. That'd be awesome. I don't know. I just want him to make more stuff. Like I genuinely I cannot wait for whatever his next project is gonna be.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the post-apocalypse movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'll be there. You know, he got a fan. You know, I'll be his cat.
I would be his cat.
I do want to talk about the character a little bit. Like, I kind of want to do a deep dive. Because you know me, I like my serial killers.
Yeah.
I know a lot. I have a lot of morbid information in my head. But I think his character, and I'm sure he worked that out in like his one-man show and all that, is very good at, you can see the initial kernel to pop into a serial killer, because he sets a lot of stuff up. His character is very narcissistic. He thinks he's smarter than everyone. Not even thinks, he knows he's smarter than everyone, you know?
Yeah, it's not even a thought.
He treats the actresses like they're garbage, like they're idiots, like they're pawns in his game. The way he's talking about how he's like, these people don't know how to make movies. I can make a movie, even though he has literally no experience and all that. And the fact that he thinks Anne Hathaway will see this and go, yeah, I want to make a movie with that guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know? That guy that just abducted 3 women and killed them? Yeah, I'm going to make a movie with him.
And it's like so real. Like, what was the guy who was obsessed with Bjork?
Oh, yeah.
He reminded me so much of this guy, because that guy as well also made all these video diaries, and he was like obsessed with her, and he thought that like he was like with her, and it was like, you know, it felt so true to like stories I've seen about those kind of people, how
it's
obsessed
like
they become.
You know what? Believe it or not, Chris Chan had one of those.
No, really?
Jacob Sockness.
Jacob Sockness.
He was in love with Chris, and Chris basically this is on topic though, because I was going to bring up Chris later anyways, but yeah. Chris Chan basically Jacob was obsessed with him. This was post transition Chris. So this is when she was going by Christine. Was in love with Chris, would constantly, you know, subscribe to the Patreon. Basically, any money that wasn't to rent and living would go to be sent to Chris.
Oh wow!
They were going to meet at some My Little Pony convention, and then Jacob made a post basically saying that I'm not going to be able to go. I lost something like he lost his job, so he has to use that money, you know, pay for rent while looking for a new job. And he's like, I'm sorry, like I'm not going to be able to support Christine anymore. So Chris just goes, yeah, no, we're not dating anymore. He's dead to me. I hate him.
Oh my god, that's brutal.
Yeah. But you can tell Chris like doesn't care about him at all. But he's like, oh, I'm gonna kiss you, Christine.
Yeah, like he was only using him for the money, and once that became
like everyone in Chris's life. Yeah.
Was that guy actually sincere? Did he actually like him?
Yeah. There,
Jesus.
He was even made his own videos, and they feel something like this. He had a shrine for Chris. There's a part where Chris, he had these like Adidas shoes that he tricked out to look like Sonichu. He basically just scribbled marker and like tape stuff to him. And when he was strapped for cash and they were falling apart, he sold them on eBay for like a shitload of money. And guess who bought them? Jacob Sockness. Because he wanted something that was worn by Chris. And when he got him, he made a video of him opening them, and he was like smelling them. And he's like, he was upset because they didn't smell like Chris.
What does Chris smell like?
I don't know, but he wanted to smell nasty.
It smells like mold and cheese and sweat.
Yeah, and sweat. Yeah.
That's all I
so
imagine.
yeah, there are people like that making videos. So it's not hard to believe. But in the movie, there is a line. It's a little subtle where he does talk about he actually killed a cat. Which basically serial killer 101. It starts with animals.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And we can see a complete lack of empathy. Obviously he's killing these women, but there's even like a lot of minor stuff where when he ties the first girl and tells her, it's for the movie, and she's like, "Oh, these are too tight. Can you loosen them?" He's like, "No, you're fine. You're fine." Like he just doesn't give a shit at all.
Right. Yeah.
And that's very apparent throughout the movie. He's just a sociopath and psychopath.
And that's pretty daring and risky if they're doing it like you said, where they're just kind of going with the flow of it. It's all improv. It's like,
because imagine if this was real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that woman he tied to the bed. And I'm sure there was a conversation before, the take of being like, this is what we're going to do, This is how I'm going to act. But what's to say that he's saying that as he's acting?
Yeah.
He's actually going to hurt him,
Yeah, that's true. They put a lot of trust in each other. It's kind of cool.
Well, they were in constant contact for like 6 months before making this.
Okay. So they had already been talking for a while.
But they never met in person.
I see. Okay.
So that was like all new, but it's a big trust.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of trust to put into someone you've literally just met for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it worked out. They didn't get killed. So
yeah. And
good
they
job,
got
guys.
a nice little cult favorite movie.
Yeah.
That people like.
Another what a lot of people call a serial killer soup. It's everything that makes a serial killer. Is another one was he was bullied as a kid. He talks a lot about in the movie about kind of being a loser, kids picking on him, which creates a sort of like incel type personality. He has a line where he hates men. He says he hates boys and dogs. You know who else says that? Chris Chan.
Oh God.
Chris constantly talks about he hates men, all the time. Because the idea is they want to look like a nice guy, like, I hate other guys because they're all assholes, but not me, you can fuck me, it's okay.
Ugh.
Kind of that mindset.
Would you fuck Chris Chan if you were gonna be paid $1 million?
No. No, because that comes with years of diseases.
That's true. Yeah.
There's a saying for Christorians is you watch Christory, you don't make Christory.
Oh my God.
That's the number one rule, and it's more apparent now than ever when he's out.
Is he out now?
He's out.
Is he posting again or?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's been spotted a few times at a Walmart and at a local card shop. But people think he's in a group home. And because of his special case, they think that he's not allowed to access the internet, which is for the best.
Yeah, that would make sense that he's needed that for over a decade at this point.
That's what he needed probably since the age of 10.
Yeah, easily.
But, so Adrian Tofei, his character, and like most incels, he's obsessed with a woman he never met. I would compare it. I don't know if you're familiar with a lot of the big female Twitch streamers, but follow any Pokimane. All right, we're gonna use Pokimane as an example.
Okay.
Go on Twitter, go on Instagram, go to any of her posts, look at the comments, they're some of the creepiest shit you'll ever read. You know? Like, it'll be like, Pokey, I want to smell your farts and shit like that.
Ugh.
But like, a lot of these men, because they spend so much time like watching her or any female streamer, they think they're like friends, even though they never met, you know?
Yeah.
And they become obsessed, and that's very similar.
It's a parasocial relationship.
Yeah, and I feel like I was even thinking about that today. Like, a good horror movie would be kind of a more modern version of Be My Cat, of a guy that's obsessed with like a streamer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it takes that like too far. I'm sure that already exists.
It has to. There's no way it
has
doesn't.
to.
It's a Darman video.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much incel behavior, and he just lacks the understanding of seeing women as human, you know? And he thinks that the women like him back, you know?
Yeah, that's the
even though he's
part.
a total asshole. And there's another thing that he does that a lot of serial killers do is your brain isn't meant for murder, all right? Your brain doesn't like it. It doesn't like the idea that you as a person want to go out and commit murder. So it will justify things. Okay. And you could read this as this movie was to justify it, you know? Oh, I'm doing this for my movie for Anne Hathaway. It's bitter. Your life is worth this, you know? Rather than just being like, oh, I want to kill women. You know, I need an excuse.
Right, yeah.
A lot of serial killers would do that. A big one was, fuck his name, Mullins. Fuck, he's like a Canadian serial killer.
I don't know.
What he would do, he's actually responsible why a lot of people were eating humans in the 80s, because he would take their body parts to a gelatin factory. I'm not even joking. He was a butcher. He owned a pig farm. And he would take basically the organs, the inside of humans that he couldn't, you know, feed to the pigs. He would take along with the pig parts to the gelatin factory, and they would turn that into candy.
Yeah.
And other things that use gelatin. So, I mean, I'm sure it's a trace amount of human organs, but
still
Canadians
there.
at the time were eating people.
That's fucked up as hell. Wow.
And his case, I don't want to turn into this whole thing, but his case was actually the first person that implemented and came up with the idea of triangulating crime scenes, like where the bodies were found, to find a location of the killer.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Except it was done in the worst way possible, because it could have been implemented sooner and caught him sooner, but the police on the case were mad at the guy because came up with it because he was promoted before them. So they were like, no, we're not going to use that.
Oh, God.
So a lot more women died. But back to my point. He would pick up prostitutes, drive them back, and he was, surprisingly enough, he was completely sober. Never drank, never did drugs. But he would offer them drugs. And if they took the drugs, which they always did, because he would specifically pick up, you know, addicts. If they took them, he said, okay, they don't value their life, I can kill them.
Yeah.
You know? They're a piece of shit because they're using drugs. This justifies me killing them.
Damn.
That was his justification of it. And you can see that his character in this movie has a very similar mindset of saying that this art that I'm creating justifies taking their lives. You know, my importance of getting with Anne Hathaway is more important than this girl dying, which is really fucked up.
Yeah.
But in a warped person's mind, that would make sense to kill.
Yeah, in a super fucked up warped person's mind.
Yeah. And that's the thing when you come with like the MOs on like a lot of these guys, like the motives behind it. It's a real fucked up view on why they're doing what they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, it's like they're just trying to come up with any justification. It's weird even when you're that evil, how they still feel the need to justify it or come up with a justification for it.
Yeah. Because your brain is just not made to deal with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like Dahmer, that's why he's a fucking alcoholic. And because he didn't like killing.
Right. It's the only way you get through it.
Yeah, your brain is just not made to take another person's life, which is probably good. You know? It's probably good that we're made that way. So this movie works, I think, on many levels for me is why I was interested. Because it's part, kind of like a method acting experiment. It's part just real uncomfortable incel, like, let's take a look at this character. And it's like almost part serial killer origin story.
Yeah, it kind of is. I like that it didn't really go into why he is the way he is, too. I thought that was pretty interesting.
It was just a lot of very subtle things that he said.
Yeah, exactly.
And that ending, I agree with you. That's like one of the best parts. When that girl's just in a corner.
Because I think at that moment, the movie felt like it was plateauing for a while. Where you're like, okay, something's got to happen here. And then that's like the ultimate culmination of the entire movie. Is kind of that. And
I was thinking after they, when he killed the one girl and there's like blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And those two guys come down. They're like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, we're making a movie. It's fine. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, was that real? Were those guys in on it? I'm sure they were told.
That seemed real to me. Oh, after the fact,
they were very uncomfortable.
They seemed like really uncomfortable. Yeah, actually.
I'm sure afterwards one of them went up and was like, no, seriously, like, this is a movie. Don't call the police.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
And he would do that a lot too, where he's like, they know I'm making a movie. You can scream all you want, you know? And you can tell he was kind of getting off on that a little bit.
Yes.
He enjoyed that a little bit too much.
He was loving it. He was basking in it.
But yeah, I mean, it's safe to say probably after this he got caught.
God, I hope so.
Because ideally, I think that was sort of what the footage was intended. Like, oh, this was what like the police recovered.
Yeah,
that was kind of what I got from it, and it was edited down.
That's what was implied by that opening title card. Yeah,
but this is a great movie. I think this is an awesome movie to just tell someone to watch and not tell them any other information, because they would probably think it's real. You tell your grandma to watch this. You know, she would think it's real, 100%.
Oh, easily, yeah. God,
I feel bad for the old people on Tubi that turn this on. Like, oh my god, they're just showing murder on here.
Be my cat. It's like an old cat lady.
Oh.
Where she's like, oh my god, be my cat. I'd love to be someone's cat. And she turns it on.
Just turns it on, sees a man butcher women. She's like, oh no.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I don't like those Romanians.
Sprinkles, we gotta change the channel.
Now, how do I work this remote? My grandson keeps it on Netflix, and I'm not supposed to change it, because then I can't change it back. But yeah, that's Be My Cat.
My Cat, go watch it on Tubi.
Yeah, and it's on YouTube too, just for free.
Oh, it is? Oh, fuck.
You just watch it on YouTube for free.
Oh, there you go.
If you're into found footage, you're into real indie horror movies, if you're into true crime, or if you just like watching weird rabbit hole videos on YouTube, this is probably for you. It's a very good movie. It's uncomfortable for the full 90 something minutes, and it's just incredibly interesting. It's very experimental. So that's my final words. What about you, Brad?
It's a good character study.
Yeah.
That's like completely anchored by the main guy's performance. He's very good in it. It might be a little slow. I feel like it's probably too long, but
you do have to have some patience.
You do, definitely. Yeah, you gotta like be in the mindset that you're watching like some like boring YouTube video where like barely anything happens, where it's just a weird diary of a creepy guy. If you watched
Yeah.
it with that mindset, like it's a good watch.
Instead of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, it's Diary of a Creepy Guy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like the Joker's notebook that he has.
Oh my god.
Or just random shitty knock-knock jokes and then just nude women. Yeah, so Adrian Tofei, you did a great job. Keep up the good work. I'm interested.
Yeah, we want to see your post-apocalypse movie. What that looks like.
Yeah, it was named very weird too.
Was it?
Yeah, it had an interesting name.
This is also a weird name.
It is a very weird name, and that's what hooks you, I think.
It sounds like, that's why I thought it was a documentary, because like that's like how documentaries are titled usually.
Yeah, and just Be My Cat just sounds gross.
It does, yeah. Especially
sounds
coupled
real-
with that poster. It's
Yeah.
like, creepy.
It sounds like, you know how like Discord moderators say kitten?
Oh god.
They're like, Daddy's coming home, kitten.
Fire up the grilled cheese.
Fire up the grilled cheese and tendies. Daddy's coming home, kitten. I gotta moderate some Discord servers. r/1942 roleplay.
Oh hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, go watch Be My Cat. It's great. It's a good time if you want to feel dirty. That's about it. So follow us on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening on YouTube, you can listen on Spotify, and if you're on Spotify, we also have YouTube. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.